All right, before we climb into the markets, I just wanted to remind you that we have the 25% off Christmas deal. So if you guys are looking to get involved with this game-changing technology, it's 25% off for the next week. Thereafter, it'll be by the month by bundle. Okay, so they'll work for some because they'll probably be more affordable as you'll be able to bundle in the months. But for those who can get the lifetime access, no, let me tell you right now, do it. Okay, so before we get into the markets, we got a bit of time before the New York bell opens. I'm going to try climb into parallels and hope that it works. I forgot about it until today, where Emil said, "All right, let's fire that up." So I'm hoping that the screen is still recording, and we're just going to wait for the technology to get better. All right, so this is the Gann Zilla. Now, the Gann Zilla works with astrophysics, with cycles and numerology, and so on. So this is a blank setup. As you open the Gann Zilla from scratch, it'll give you exactly what you're looking at right here. For those who are interested in astrophysics, cycles, energetic resonance, and the quantum reaction to energy that we all feel subconsciously and act upon, focus in on this. If you're more about just the charting, we'll jump back into the Bitcoin section in a short bit. But until then, this is where we're going to set up. All right, so starting from the top, we've got the layouts over here and protractor, chronometer, cosmogram, and so on beneath that. So let's kick off with the layout. What you want to do here is make sure that you have enough price to cover where the price is at. So I'm going to increase that size to 12. I'm going to keep the Gann square of 9 because of the multiples of 12, how it squares outwards. The data price will be, the data type will be price. And the price itself, we put in over here. Okay, so the core value for this year, if I'm not mistaken, or the low point was 27,000. It's 27,800. Okay, so what happens is that when you set the natal chart, you start with the lowest point of price. Okay, so Bitcoin's shot up to about 60,000 this year. However, it did get down to 28,000 being the low point. We're going to use that as the low for the year and then work upon the increments beyond that so that we can start ascertaining where the support and resistance lines will be from the ordinal and cardinal lines. So it's basically the crosses vertically and horizontally, and then the 45-degree crosses that split that. So let's begin. The find will take us to where price is at the moment, but we're not ready for that just now. As you can tell, the increment of 1 is going to make this chart extremely and difficult to read because where it is at 28,262, for example, there's nowhere near where it needs to be right now. So I'm going to increase the increments instead of $1 up to $100. Okay, so when I do that, I get to see more of the chart. I want to skip down to the bottom real quick because I want to clean this up. Looking for the triangle and the square under figures and get rid of that. So at least we got some clarity ahead of us. All right, so 27800 is now our base value, going up in increments of 100. We're going to keep the cardinal and ordinal cross and move down. Don't need the protractor. We're not working with the helio aspects to the sun from a protractor perspective. Okay, that off the screen. The chronometer, take it off as well, yes. We don't need the dates. The cosmogram, we're going to keep it to geocentric. City, you're going to keep it as New York. The moon phases, we can take, yeah, we'll leave moon phases on. I could expand on every one of these points. Yeah, it gets quite in depth, and I think I'll lose you along the way in terms of the complexity that's behind this. So I'm just going to surface level as I go down, but I'm not skipping things without merit. There is a whole bunch of craziness behind every single one of these segments. Okay, so the moon phases we'll keep up. The cycles we'll keep visible. The pentagram, you'll leave it as the sun. I think cycles for the time being I'm going to take away. Okay, we're going to keep it in transit and not radix. Don't worry about price quotes right now. We haven't got this linked to any systems. All right, okay. So the date we're going to have today selected because you want to see what's happening in the now moment, and also the time selected as well because you want to see what's happening in the now moment. You're not interested in what happened earlier on. You want to see what's happening now and next. So in New York at the moment, let's have a look at my phone real quick to see what time it is there. Oh, wait, hold on a sec. It'll be 9 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to go to 9 a.m. because that's what time it is in New York. And as you can tell over here, we're working off of the New York time zone because it's -5 UTC. That's where we base our charting from. Okay, over here we got Mercury in the chart. So Mercury doesn't really have a major effect when working with us from an energetic perspective because it's the fastest traveling planet around the sun, and the communication aspect of it will repeat itself into our energetic fields relatively rapidly. So with the full moon in Gemini over Saturday, the Mercury influence in the markets would have opened up communication between businesses and partners, and just the ability for those who may have had a blocked throat chakra of late to just open out and just speak beautifully and be able to connect. So for those reasons, it has been a good time for communication, and you may have experienced that in your own lives, which then influences a certain behavioral set. And I don't want to get into the subs of that because it gets quite complicated. Okay, because everything's interpretational, there's different cultures, different time zones, and so on. So I'll leave that for a later topic. So for the time being, I've just got to move forward over here under the time aspect, just to see if there's anything else we should be aware of. Once again, not much action in the astro realm. Just want to see if there's any action coming up for us. Okay, we got Mercury that was there yesterday. I want to see what happens tomorrow. So today's date is that. Oh, 20th of the 12th, huh? What are you? Okay, increments of 1 day, that's fine. Let's have a look into what's happening tomorrow. Also, first see if there's any planets that pop through into our auric fields from a quantum aspect. Okay. Not much. All right, so what I want to do is go back to around about 3 a.m. New York time. This is tomorrow, of course. And I see all of this information over here. The quadrature with Pluto and Aries, the quadrature with Mercury and Aries, the Venus-Uranus semi-square. These disharmonic bundles would lean towards price being moving downward. Okay, so disharmonic environments create separation, anxiety, fear, uncertainty, doubt, all of that kind of stuff. Harmonic environments create love, unionship, connection, and expansion. So when you see harmonic aspects interact with the planets, then you'll see guys just getting along, letting people jump in on the queue on the freeway or that kind of stuff, be merry and stuff. When it's heavy energy and it's disharmonic, there will be bickering and fighting and petty snipping and everyone fighting for their position on the freeway, not letting anyone jump in. So you'll see as a mass conscious collective response to people in the office place and just people around. If you travel public transport, you'll see it there as well. There is a certain common energy on certain days. No one can explain it why. This is the reason. Okay, we're dealing with harmonics and disharmonics from an energetic perspective, which influences us in a sub-quantum environment. Well, you can't really get sub-quantum because quantum is the tiniest form of energetic influences and impulses within physicality as a whole. Okay, so the inspector over here will pretty much just tabulate the aspects of what's happening on the Gann square of 9. So we'll be able to just hover our mouse over certain things and see there's a trine between Mercury and Uranus. I can't stop laughing at that planet for some reason. Sun series is not a big thing. Don't worry about the sun too much. The moon does have influence, and then the major aspects of certain planets will have an influence. So Saturn and Uranus, I think Uranus isn't really going to cause too much disharmony in the next hour or so, according to this. However, when things get a bit more disharmonic, I think between 3 a.m. onwards for New York tomorrow, that will create downward action, if I'm not mistaken. See if there's anything else I can tidy up down here. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to save this. Go back to the top here, and it's going to reduce the size down as our increments of 100 mean. So we don't really need to have it that big. Okay, so once again, these ordinal and cardinal lines. So if I'm saying it wrong, it's just basically the crosshair of this environment will give us the support and resistance. So let's quickly find out where we are price-wise. So it's 4, 5, 600 more or less. Okay, so we're looking to go down, which means at 4, 5, 300 and 4, 4, 600 will be our areas of support. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 4, 4, 600, 4, 5, 600. I think I got the 600 part wrong for that. 300. So whilst we do our analysis, we're going to look for these numbers on the chart to see where they show up. As always, let's kick it off from the top. What I was hoping to see this morning and yesterday was the crossing of these two lines here in the oscillator. However, it's not saying it's done yet. By the looks of things, we're going to get a lower low. Well, we have to beat this wick over here. So it's going to drop below 4,200 or 4,000, 42,000 rather, in the next 4 days. So just keep that in mind. Buy high, sell low. But as I say that, just also be cognizant of this resistance arc that we're coming into over here. Tricky business, but you can manage it if you keep your multiple cycles up to date. All right, so the 512 still suggesting down. Unfortunately, yesterday, that oscillator lining up with this option 2 wasn't the low point to turn to the upside. So now we've adjusted. You can see that it's going to continue down. The exciting thing about the 512 is that we're getting into the deeper arcs here, which means that the price is going to move faster, right? So it's not this conservative bundling towards kill zone. You're going to see it open up and you're going to see bigger grooves coming down, With that said, I do see more travel along the 1/1. So it could drop and pull up, drop and pull up, drop and pull up. An example of what that looks like is what's been happening already. Up, up, and then so on. The reason I've got it here is because just looking at the confluence of time, option 3 and 500% are the closest to one another. So I'm going to go down with that to see where that lines up. The first point is over here, the 1/1 line. I'll bring it down a little further. It works out quite nicely with this apex of arc 4, 1/1 fan line. Another thing we've added is the beloved sine wave. The reason why Emil pulled the trigger and jumped in with MTOPS. So as a passion project, he's definitely brought back one of his favorite elements. And you can see it over here. You just click and drag it in line with the previous turning points, and then it will allow you a third price confirmation to see if we're getting it lined up. So you can see one lines up with that turning point over there. And now we're going to have the same lineup there as well. Okay, so I'm going to stick with this for the time being. I'm getting a bit of heat on TradingView because I keep on saying it's going up, then it's going down, it's going up and going down. But once again, it's this 2048 that's got me baffled because of the extended wick. Oh, I hate this wick so much. I can't even begin to tell you. But it is what it is, and we're just dealing with it. All right, so the 128, again, you can see all forces are pushing down. We just want to see where this turning point will be. Once again, I'm going to click and drag this up and down, which is an absolute asset to me now. It's something I didn't even realize that I needed in my day-to-day analysis. And it's here, and I'm very happy to have it back. So what I'm doing is my eyes are moving with the bar down to see whether we get some crossing points at the closest position between time and cube root. Okay, so far this one is a little further away from the other two. Not happy with that. The next option here for the cube root is over there, and you get your 100%. If I pull that down, it seems at the moment we're going to get some confluence of this arena over here. Whether it's the 1 or the 2 option, I think it's going to be our T equals 100%. Okay, so that's going to drop us down to, let's look at our numbers over here, 44600. So 44, that's 45300. Let's try 45300 first. Okay, so 45300 will be that apex, and then 44600. Okay, is along this line, and that's where it's going to suggest. Okay, so that's what we're seeing from here. 44600. And just to reiterate, I'll put this analysis down before even opening up the Gann Zilla, but evidently it all came together in the end. Also, with a suggested turning point, the 45300 range, which is over here, which we highlighted as option 1, arc 3, 1/2, and then again to this point. So there's a lot of magic in the Gann square, and that's why we call it fondly the magic square. And the interrelation between this and numerology with the astrophysics of what gets represented by in the Gann Zilla will absolutely blow you away once you scratch the surface. But for most of us, we're just looking to make a life out of trading, buying and selling at a profit. And you don't need all of the astrophysics and numerology to do so. Just work with the MTOPS strategy, and it will produce the same results as those who've been trading for over 10 years. I don't want to say the same results, better results, because a lot of guys still haven't got trading rights, no matter how long they've been doing it for. Okay, so here we are down to the 32. This is my hunting ground. That's where I find my comfort. Unfortunately, the oscillator caught me out. I thought there was going to be a switch over here. I thought 10 was in. It started to make this convincing progression after option 1 on the cube. Then I thought, oh man, it's almost too easy. Let me tell you, I got schooled as I crawled down a 1/1 to my demise. All right, so the next option, once again, with the latest update on the MTOPS trading system, we can click and move time. We're going to see option 2 is done. Option 3 becomes our next viable one. Increase this a little bit further just to incorporate. And there we go. In a very tidy styled format, you're going to see that it all comes together at option 3 and 700% on time. So I'm just finessing this in the 44600 range. Once again, 44600, let's revisit. Okay, 44600, completely offline, completely independent. I mean, this is running off of Windows. I'm analyzing a Mac. Once again, here we are, 44600. Option 3, 700% on time. And P equals 2, price equals level 2, all coming together with high confluence. Are you impressed yet? All right, down to 8 minutes, 20 minutes until we see some volatility sparked off by New York. I've already got a short open, waiting for the initial impulse, and then I'll get into another short. Now we're going to get some visibility of the entire field. I just want to do a quick analysis over here using MTOPS criteria. Trend direction 1 below 9, 20 point spacing, looking for 2. Scaling, happy with. Kill zone, happy with. Time. All right, let's bring this down. There's our first intersection. See our prices really pushing in. I can see my little $100 here, my bait trade, pulling me up 36% return. All right, if I put $10,000 in there, I'll be up $2,500 just off this quick little move. I'm not there just yet until I'm confident in trend on the higher frame, which at the moment is a bit uncertain. Okay, so this should pull down to around about here. Let's look at any other aspects on the actual Gann square. There's a deeper version of that. It is a Monday morning. It tracks decent amount of liquidity. Whether or not that's going to be relevant to the 20th of December, we'll have to see in the next number of minutes. So right now we got 2 options in my opinion. Turning point 2 is either going to be formed down here, or as I move it into that flash point over there. All right, let's get our setup. As I said, we got that arc 4 action coming up. That's where some decent moves happen. We also got a resistance arc over here, which means that we could get a conservative okay. Don't know what's happening with these turning points. Okay. I think we should give you guys a 33% discount instead of a 25% discount because these turning points are drunk. Yeah, just clear them all. Let's do this again. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to count every time. So there's 10, and there's 1, or Emil, what do I do here, my friend? Well, there might be one over there just minutes before the start of the cycle. If it is the case, then we're going to see a little bit of up action, and that changes our directional flow going down. Cool. Let's try again. So we know it's going down. The question is, will it go up before it goes down? As we go towards the end of this turning point. 10. All right. Option 4, 200%. It looks to me as if I should close for minus 0.2 cents. Oh, now I'm down to $1 or 23 cents loss. I'm $100 there. And we're going to see whether or not this turning point is going to push price to the upside. All right, so that's option 4 on the cube, 200% on time, sine wave lining up, apex of arc 3, 1/1. All right, so we're at that unfortunate position where arguments are solid to both ends. So let's start off at the top of this. Trend direction, 9 below 7, 8 below 6. Turning point spacing, we've got 9 complete. A potential 10 over there. However, we wouldn't be able to start the new cycle correctly. So we're going to see this extended. It works nicely as it regresses along the 1/1, currently at arc 3. Scaling supports that, and so does kill zone. Time projection, 200%. Cube roots, option 4, oscillator, flat and useless for this right now. Time projection, we're sitting at 1, and we've spoken about the apex. So my assumption is that we're going to have American trade desks push this out of the turning point that it's in now through a kill zone and on the way up to then form. Okay, well, when it was at 100%, still the same issues. Guys who are on the MTS, I like to trade at Zoom 80%. It's something I learned from TradingView because they're just so cluttered with everything. Emil advises that your Zoom should be kept at 100%. So if you're running into scaling issues or anything of that nature, for the time being, he recommends putting it at 100%. Okay, we're working on different aspects, including reducing the size of the text and the minimum allowed space for the panel and so on as a part of the to-do list. All right, so let's get this 32 up here. Still hinting as if it's going to continue down though. We haven't got a crossed oscillator. So down might be the way forward, which is probably the reason why we're calling in on a more scaled up version here in the 8 minutes. Let's see where the next point is. $250 there. Option 5 would be over here. Okay, so I closed my short too early by the looks of things. The question I'm asking myself is, do I open another? All right, so New York guys are settling to the trade desks if they haven't taken off and said enough trading for me. But I just remind you, I talk about the New York trade time, the open bell, because guys in Portugal and beyond wait for that, including ourselves, to join where the liquidity flies into the markets, typically, of course. On the US 30 and other open bell strategies, that's when that fires off. To remind you, I've experienced a drop in liquidity in the Europe time zones. It just kind of etches across painfully. And we rely on the capitalism mindset of America to bring in those bigger orders. Because in America, bigger is better. All right, guys, 1 minute to go. I'm not in full confidence on this trade. I want to see where the initial energy goes. And if we can sustain that, I want to go with trend. Right now, we're at a resistance arc. I'm curious to see what happens here. If it breaks that, I might just jump into a cheeky short, or alternatively, let it build its turning point up and then short from there. To answer your question, Naveed, so I didn't get around to answering that. I just wanted to see whether or not there was another configuration. But in doing so, I got reminded that that's the only way forward. So on 8, 9, we're looking for 10 here, which is the reason I'm assuming something soon is going to turn. And then from there, 1 will regress down to 2. Just curious to see what happens at the resistance arc here on the 32 first.